what policies or measures do you see as promising in the 2023 budget?
I'm surprised that they are still lying to us. There's not a single road that is PPP built in this country.
What again do you make of the 18 billion allocation to the budget to the National Cathedral?
When you go to the site now, it's like a galamsey site. It tells you that government has no priority.
Why then would you take part in approving such a budget?
In engaging and looking up to the minority, also question the majority.
Are we powerless to do anything about it? Do we just look on?
Ghanaians feel too relaxed and too comfortable about wrongs.
Or for Swampofo and I say in case who make a better chairman?
Of all the positions I've held in the party, the one I celebrate the most is the branch chairmanship.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of The Hard Truth. Now, today we'll be looking at issues relating to the 2023 budget and the upcoming NDC executive elections. Parliament approved the budget last Tuesday, but critics have blamed the minority NDC for allowing the government to push through an austerity budget that will further exacerbate the sufferings of Ghanaians. Now, the minority, however, insists that there is still a chance to block some measures such as the increase in the VAT rate and the removal of the e-levy threshold. But how reliable are these assurances? Also happening this Saturday, the NDC National Executive Elections. Can Mr. Ofosu Ampofo maintain his position as chairman, or he primed for a defeat by Asiedu Nketia? To discuss these issues and more, my guest for tonight is the Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, Member of Parliament for Buem constituency, and you are watching The Hard Truth. Good evening. My name is Nana Akosua Konadu Samuels. Honorable, welcome to The Hard Truth, sir.
I take him.
Well, Kofi, you've been a terrible friend, so it's been 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, 4.5 years. That is so unfair.
Actually, I thought it was 5 years. So if it's less than that, then it means I wanted to set a record by making it 5 years. So if I couldn't set the record,
no, you are a terrible person. But I'm happy to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, let's talk about the budget a little bit. Now, the 2023 budget was approved last Tuesday after all the brouhaha that accompanied it. Now, during the debate on the budget, the minority was quite categorical that the budget failed to address the concerns of Ghanaians and, caused 2023 to be a year of misery. Why then would you take part in approving such a budget?
Well, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the invitation. Budgets generally contain a number of items. It includes compensation for staff. It includes goods and services, and maybe sometimes some other capital expenditure related items. If you reject the budget in its entirety, what you are indicating is that you don't want teachers also to be paid. You don't want nurses to be paid. You don't want doctors to be paid. You don't want lecturers to be paid. You don't want soldiers to be paid. You don't want the police to be paid. You don't want hospitals to function. You don't want institution that needs to function for all of us.
So it's not a bad budget after all?
No, I'm talking about what generally is contained in a budget. There may be some items in the budget that you disagree with. And you have a stage of the approval of the budget where you can deal with those specific issues. What happened on Tuesday is the approval of the policies and principles behind the 2023 budget estimates. We do have two other stages that we'll be dealing with. One, the estimates will now be referred to sector committees, where the various ministries will appear before these committees, and individual items in the budget that we disagree with will now be discussed, and these committees will bring a report to plenary.
But Kofi, your budget or your caucus, has insisted that you only approve the budget statement as a matter of principle, like you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Now, these same principles also existed in November 2021 when the minority took, a decision and voted and rejected the 2022 budget.
Yeah,
So what has changed?
That's why we have learned lessons.
Which
that
is what?
You don't reject the budget in its entirety when you will have the opportunity to deal with the issues that you oppose, the issues you disagree with. For example, in 2022, when the budget was presented in 2021, which we rejected, what was the level of the e-levy that was proposed? It was more than 1.5%. It didn't have a threshold. We debated it. We made sure it was not passed as a revenue measure, and it went on and on and on, and it was finally lowered to 1.5 with a threshold of 100 before it came to. Even that we disagreed. So we have learned our lessons that you don't reject the budget in its entirety.
So how do you react again to sentiments by the public that the minority has, been compromised, and there's been some? Let me just ask you if there have been some backdoor, dealings that we are not aware of. Have you been compromised?
I will be disappointed if anyone says so that the minority has been compromised, because it is this very minority that have continued to raise the very issues also that the people who are so dissatisfied with this government out there, including members of the governing party itself, raised. The minority have continued to raise such issues on the floor of the House and even in their engagement with media outside. So I'll be surprised. The fact that I meet an NPP member of parliament and I smile with the person or we engage doesn't mean that I have been bought. Don't forget we are Ghanaians. We all live in this society and we know how we relate. When you meet Ghanaians, with religious differences, a Muslim, a Christian, they meet at functions and you think that they are one. The fact that a Muslim attends a church program doesn't mean that he has set aside.
Yes, we agree that we are united, but this is national development. This is Ghana, and this is our economy. So again, sir, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, has indicated that the public should have faith and trust in the minority, to protect the interests of Ghanaians.
Sure.
But when the e-levy was introduced, you just mentioned, Ghanaians place so much trust in your government, the minority, to block it from passing. Yeah. But you failed. Well, so with this record, Akosua, can we trust you? Do you think Ghanaians can still trust that you can take some important decisions on our behalf in Parliament?
How did you describe? You say Ghanaians had faith in the minority.
Exactly. But you failed. You failed.
You said in the minority. You didn't say in the majority. Don't forget that in Parliament, it's to talk, so we will talk. After the talking is the vote. If our talking, which is so convincing, does not allow some members of the majority to join us in the votes, the people you should be querying should be the majority who failed to listen to the sensible talk from the minority to have voted along with them.
If you tell someone to trust me, that means you have, if you tell me to trust you, that means you have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and even to Z to ensure that the interests of Ghanaians are protected. Again, should we trust you?
Trust me that I will use all the legitimate processes available to me to defend you. I.e., we made sure, we resisted, we pushed through. Every process must be gone through, including hearing the people out there. Even though we disagreed with the manner in which the finance ministry, together with the government appointees, went about the public hearing, we at least pushed them. They delayed, and they have to go and do and organize the public forum, which they originally have refused to do. We pushed them. And when it came to the time of voting, we gave our indication that we were not in support of that policy. We went further to court because don't forget that we walked out. Already,
will you walk
no, let me
out?
finish.
Why
No,
will he walk out?
why shouldn't
We
we?
were trusting
No,
you, so you could
we
have
did,
stayed. Why
we
didn't
did,
you stay?
we did, Akosua, listen
You could
to
have
me.
stayed.
No, if we stayed and voted, we were having only 136 members of
At
parliament.
least we would have known you stayed
And
and
I'm
voted.
saying that the 136 was not going to stop the implementation of the e-levy. The Supreme Court had ruled that we needed 138 members of parliament to be able to vote on any issue, knowing very well that on that day, Honorable Adwoa Safo was not in Ghana and she wasn't going to be in parliament. If our 136 walked out, it means the majority side will be left with 137. So, per our understanding, they could not go ahead to vote on any issue. If they go ahead and voted, we would have a right to go to court. That is why we went to court. So, as we speak now, there's a case before the Supreme Court about the passage of the e-levy that we thought what they did was unconstitutional and that the continuous implementation of the e-levy was illegal.
And the outcome of that is what?
The Supreme Court says the Ghana Revenue Authority must keep data of every Ghanaian who is paying this tax so that when they conclude on their ruling and it goes against them, they can have what? A refund. We have not left Ghanaians out. We have continued to use the process. If there is anybody to hold now, they should tell the Supreme Court also that they must hear our case as quickly as possible and not keep blaming the minority.
No one is blaming
when
you.
you are not holding other institutions who
we are not. But let's move on.
Also.
Right.
Ask the Supreme Court
concerning
why they are not
the increase in the VAT rate by 2.5% and the removal of the e-levy threshold. Let me ask you bluntly, under what condition can the minority succeed? They said you're going to block it, in blocking these. And what's the strategy? I'm interested. Tell me.
In Parliament, we engage. That is why sometimes we work with trusting our opponent or some members of the other side that they will join in Ghana, at least defending Ghanaians and defending Ghana. We are 136 currently because one of our colleague, the Ascent North MP, is still in court. And this very Supreme Court have barred him from representing his people, his constituents. So he's not able to enter the chamber to transact business. The MPP on the other side will have 137 plus an independent who is with them. We have been speaking to some of these MPP members who themselves have expressed serious reservation about the increase in VAT. They think it is better for government to look at other cost reduction rather than introducing this tax component again. So one, we are going to push all the arguments that we have to push. We are going to make sure that our 136, like we did yesterday on the censure motion, will vote against such a revenue measure.
What was the outcome
our
of that?
expectation will be that.
What was the outcome of that?
Expectation. Either some of the MPP members of parliament will join us in voting against such a bill when it comes.
But will it ever happen? I mean, this expectation is will it ever happen?
I'm telling you the options that are there, or some of them will just choose
but they will never join you.
I am going to stay away. They can also choose to stay away. And when they stay away, when one or two stays away, and the numbers are even, we are 136, 136. What it means is that that motion would have been lost, and that a VAT increment of 2.5% cannot be implemented. If the motion to take away the threshold and make e-levy 1% is also tied, it means that that motion is therefore lost, and therefore we will revert to the old status. So in engaging and looking up to the minority, also question the majority also, whether they are happy about what is happening.
I hear you. So what, again, do you make of the 80 million allocation to the budget, to the National Cathedral, and at a time where we clearly need to realign with our priorities?
Well, it tells you that government has no priority. Its priority is not the priority of Ghanaians, the people who put them there. That they are thinking about what can lace their pocket. If you look at the expenditure in relation to the National Cathedral project, a chunk of that expenditure is an expenditure that has gone directly into just individuals. It is not even something that has gone into the proper construction.
Can you be specific?
For
Individual
example,
who? Yeah.
consultancy services that have been rendered, and including payment for the architectural engineering services that was rendered by Ajayi and his company and what have you. The huge sums of money have been advanced and paid to.
So
to
they've started work. So I mean, isn't that okay? I mean,
I'm
they've started
saying
work, so it's
when you
okay
go
to
to
be
the
paid.
site now, it's like a galamsey site. In the first place, whilst we are not against the building of cathedral, we don't think that state resources, public resources, should be expended in building a cathedral. That is one. Two, we also think that the site that have been selected for this project is wrong, especially when we were going to be pulling down buildings. As we speak now, I hear a company whose facility was destroyed in the attempt to build that cathedral, to start the construction of that cathedral, has taken the Lands Commission to court for $4.7 million because they haven't been paid what is due them as we speak.
So again, you will see that public sentiment does not support, allocating funds to this project in these difficult times.
So,
and it's clearly the priority, or to the president. So,
well, the president
are we powerless? Hold on. Are we powerless to do anything about it? Do we just look on? Do we have to look on and not do anything about it?
We are not powerless. And I want to urge Ghanaians that sometimes don't wait till the blade or scissors is used in removing your hair before you feel it. Even when you are seeing indication that the scissors is approaching your hair, you have to react. You have a hand there. God gave you hands. You see me hold the scissors approach your hair. Then you still see that you are waiting for me to start cutting the hair before you react.
Did we not react?
Ghanaians feel too relaxed and too comfortable about wrongs and think that somebody else should do it for them.
Why would you say
that? The
that?
minority will do what they have to do. You must also join in the fight against wrongs when they are being perpetrated by government.
But don't we put you there to represent us.
And I'm saying that
so if you say there's like all of us should come to parliament then.
No, we are not saying come to parliament. We will perform the parliamentary role. But you also have a street role to perform.
You see?
You have a street
Which
role
we do,
to
demonstration. We talked about e-learning, so many things, cathedral, on the media, several platforms. Sir.
Street occupation are things that we must learn to do as a country. If you have a government that decides that it will not listen to issues that are raised in legitimate bodies like parliament and what have you, street occupation should be something that we must learn to do. Just demonstrating 2-3 hours and going back home may not be enough. We must learn how to occupy streets for days and bring the city to a standstill. Maybe that will let them listen.
And that will do what?
Well, if they listen, then they will act. But if you continue to think that it is, for example, when it started,
why
should
we demonstrate all the time?
Well,
why?
We haven't demonstrated enough.
Really?
It looks like the government don't listen. We have a government, sensitive governments like maybe the NDC, anytime we are in power and a few persons on the street, we listen and then do sometimes what must be done. But it looks like this government don't care.
Kofi, are you sure?
What you do. Maybe they want you to now run a system of demonstration where you occupy the street continuously for a week or more before they will listen. So you do that. You see, if you want to kill a chicken, it's so easy to kill a chicken because the head is out there. But if you want to kill a tortoise, you have to go through a lot of process because it can sink its head into the shell. So unless you put heat at the back, then when the shell becomes so hot, it will be forced to bring out its head and start moving. Then you can catch the head.
I see. A word to the wise. That's Kofi Adams for you. You're still watching The Hard Truth. Do stay on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Hard Truth. I have with me Member of Parliament for Buim constituency, Mr. Kofi, or Honorable Kofi Idi Adams.
I like that without honorable, without mistake.
Oh, Kofi is fine. Thank you so much. Now, I know you have a lot of negatives when it comes to the budget, but it can't be all bad, you mentioned, So what policies or measures do you see as promising in the 2023 budget?
Well, for example, right from the word go in 2021, when the 2022 budget was read and they took out revenue measures like the toll levy, many of us thought that, how will you do such a thing? Because there's no country within the sub-region here that is not taking the levy. So you decide that you are not taking the levy. It's not an ECOWAS decision. Your drivers from Ghana here move into Togo, they pay levy. Benin, they pay levy. Nigeria, they pay levy. Cote d'Ivoire, they pay levy. Burkina, they will pay levy. Then you decide that drivers coming from Nigeria, Benin, and Togo can't drive through your country, spoil your roads, but not pay any toll levy to help you in the maintenance of roads. And the argument they make is that because it is bringing only about 78 million. You see, when people have become so comfortable, they see 78 million as only. But 78 million given to my constituency can do a lot. And if you begin to reason that way, that development is done piece by piece, you will not call 78 million later. And so because of that, you decided that you will not take the e-levy. You will not take the toll levy because e-levy was coming. You could add e-levy to toll levy. Even developed and advanced countries have continued that have efficient other revenue and tax collection measures and processes in place, still take toll levies.
So you're happy that toll levy is
So I'm happy it's going to come back. And it will come back, it will come with its own economy. You've traveled around the world, you see toll plazas. They are equally business places. So you find a toll plaza, the next thing you may see is either a gas station or you see other facilities around. There will be an eatery, there will be, so businesses also happen around the toll plazas.
Wait, you want that to happen at the motorway? Where are we going to put all these things you're talking
about?
Well,
unfortunately, our development is such backward that we don't create space for such things. We should begin to look at it. But if you take the Tema, for example, the Tema end of the motorway, we have some plazas there. We have a total filling station. We have other shops that have developed there. We can begin to look at such situations. So I'm happy.
Isn't it too much? We have a toll and then we have the e-levy at the same time. Now e-levy is whatever amount you send. Won't it be too much pressure on Ghanaians?
You see, when we were told, but we don't only have a toll and e-levy, but we also have an IMF in addition. We were told choose e-levy or IMF. They forced the e-levy on us. Now they have added IMF on top.
So we should keep adding.
And then, well, I'm not saying they should keep adding, but I'm saying that a revenue stream that have been lost to us, a revenue stream that allows even foreign users of your facility to use it just for free, for me, I don't support that. So I think that the reintroduction of toll is a good thing.
I see.
And I'm surprised that they are still lying to us or peddling untruth that they only want to take it on PPP routes, that's public-private partnership routes. We don't have any PPP route in Ghana. All roads are public roads. There's not a single road that have been built which is going to be tolled. So if you are telling me you are bringing back toll levy in 2023, and you are telling me it will only be on PPP roads, there's not a single road that is PPP built in this country.
So over the past few days, there's been intense discussion on government's domestic debt exchange program, and we are told that, by the finance ministry, inviting holders of these domestic debts to voluntarily exchange approximately, 137 billion Ghana cedis domestic notes and bonds. What are your thoughts on the program? against the backdrop of fierce resistance from the public.
It means they haven't handled it well. Like we kept saying, that there are ways government can reduce costs without necessarily having to go through the way and manner they are going about this whole process. If you look at a situation where we are talking about in challenging times, and what government seeks to do is to increase staffing at the office of president and increase expenditure related to government machinery, and telling us that our savings and investments, you are not going to give us any, when it is due, it is not available to us. Even as it's not available for us and you are reinvesting, in 2024, we are going to get zero interest rate.
Yeah.
In 2025, you are going to give us 5%. In 2026, 2027, you are going to give us 10%.
10%.
Clearly, this is a government that have disappointed people on all fronts. I was speaking to someone, I said, maybe economics and finance lecturers who used to tell us and advise people that, oh, investing in government bills is the safest, will have to start reviewing their notes, because as far as Ghana is concerned, it's the reverse. What has happened to people's investments, whether it is pensioners.
Was that the only way to go? I mean, couldn't have used other, that means that, attacking our monies?
There are many other
like
means. You
what?
can cut costs. Indeed, you can realign ministries. For example, why on earth at these difficult times should we still be having Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Rails, Ministry of Aviation, Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Information, all of them standing?
Let's say we cut 10. What would that do? 10 ministries. What would that do?
It will go a long way to give indication, and that will be the commencement, a major commencement of realigning and reducing cost. It will do so much. There are many other areas, some other ways. For example, why allocate public funds to cathedral? The 80 million allocation, why do that at these very difficult times? Why increase the budget allocation for government machinery? If you think that 30% pay cut of your appointees is doing something meaningful, then it is better to reduce the number of ministries. It has been done before.
Yeah.
Under the NDC, President Mahama, we didn't have Ministry of Information and Ministry of Communication. They were joined together. One minister, two deputies. They were running what is today 2 ministries with many ministers and many deputies. We used to have just one transport ministry, one minister, one deputy. Today, we have transport ministry, we had aviation ministry, we have rail ministry,
yes,
all of them with
lot
ministers
of them
and deputies.
Right, but as things stands now,
and you tell us that you have
Kofi,
30%
as things are
cut.
now, some of the institutions such as the Trade Union Congress, Ghana Medical Association and the Chambers of Corporate Trustees of Ghana, among others, have already rejected the offer. Should government take a second look at it?
Government should take a second. Seriously, government should stop the waste. You have a government that have decided that they have appointed a port director for a non-existing port who gets paid plus bonuses paid him. You have a government that decides that institutions that used to be managed by just one managing director now have, without deputy, now have about 3 or 4 deputies. You have institutions that used to be managed by one managing director and maybe 1 deputy or 2 deputies, now having 4 or 5.
Which ones?
Go to Senate is happening. Go to NCA is happening. Go to BOSS is happening. Go to BOSS.
So they should have a second look.
So they should have a second look.
I see.
And
now
begin to realign.
Okay, the minority leader again, Harry Idris, specify that the form and the structure of the debt restructuring plan are unacceptable.
Sure.
However, the National Communications Director of NPP, Richard Hiaba, believes that the minority should be pessimistic, or believes that for the minority to be pessimistic without giving alternative ideas is not enough. So that's the caucus.
Well, it looks like
have alternatives.
It looks like anytime we speak, they don't listen, or they feel like they are not prepared to cut their comfort. You have created a problem, and I'm asking you, cut your comfort a bit, not even all, cut a bit, so that we can all manage. You are telling me that I should give alternative, meaning that the alternative we are giving them all this while for them, they are not prepared to cut any comfort. You are not prepared to reduce size of government. You are not prepared to reduce serious expenditure lines that are unnecessary. Then they keep asking, give alternative, give alternative.
What is wrong with the NPP government when it comes to listening? What's
Well, it looks like they have blocked their ears completely. They have decided that for Ghanaians, maybe we can treat them anyhow we like, or they feel like it's a mind kind of mentality that they had. So,
if you had done better, giving Ghanaians what you promised, would we have been here? No, clearly the NDC would have still been in government. Because you didn't, we thought the alternative was the better option. We went for the alternative.
Akosua,
I'm listening.
We were there.
Yes.
You were told comfortably by an opposition that fuel price that you were buying petrol and diesel for less than 15 cedi was too high, too expensive, and that NDC was insensitive. You were also told many situations that it was causing government.
We knew, we're feeling it. I mean, so it was high at that time. Yes.
So I'm coming. You said you were told that constructing a mechanized borehole for 30,000 or so Ghana cedi was laced with corruption and that it was too expensive. You were told many stories that you believed. Today, how much are you buying?
Where the story is not true.
No.
The story is not true. So we felt the alternative was best.
It was true you were buying diesel for 15 Ghana cedi per gallon.
Yes.
Today, how much are you buying diesel for a gallon?
That's not a question.
Over 100 cedi. Your situation has been made worse by those who lied to you. So at that time, you listened to them because you thought they would reduce it.
So now,
cedi to dollar, cedi to dollar.
Oh my goodness!
No,
I'm scared.
Cedi to dollar. That Dr. Baumia told you that we were worst handlers of the economy, and that was why 4.2 cedis was being exchanged for $1. Today it is 15 cedis.
Right, we could go around in circles, but
so I am telling you
but does it mean that now that you are providing? Hold on.
Doing so well,
now that you are providing alternatives, do this, do that. Let's say you come back again in 2024. Hey, are you going to do worse?
Of course, we are going to do far better than what is being offered you now.
Which is what?
But didn't you see what it is that we did? When it comes to size of government, Ghana, the size of Ghana has not changed. We haven't gone to war to take part of Côte d'Ivoire to add to Ghana or Togo to add to Ghana.
But our population is increasing.
And I'm saying that, no, our size first and foremost have not changed. Yes, our population has gone up. So therefore, if we could manage with that size of Ghana, with a lesser number of ministers, we can do same and do better. So size of government would not be this level. We will invest in productive areas.
Like what?
That was, for example, we invested in Atuabo gas processing that today have helped us to solve majorly expenditure of over $350 million every year in the importation of gas. And it has generated permanent jobs for people. This government has not done single one of that. They keep mentioning that 1D, 1F, that you can't see it anywhere. The Kotoka International Airport. Our brothers from Nigeria, some of them used to even fly in just to come and take selfies and the rest because of a major investment that has been done.
Let's talk about your party.
Was done by the NDC.
When you talk about NDC, your face pop. So I want your face to pop more. So let's talk about the party NDC. Now, you'll be having your national executive elections this Saturday, 17 December. First of all, what are your expectations and how competitive do you expect the elections to be?
Well, the elections are very competitive, but I expect the party to come out stronger and be prepared to work hard to win the 2024 elections to save Ghanaians from this deteriorating situation that the MPP administration under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, have subjected Ghanaians to. I'm not leaving out other persons like the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Kojo Chiremante. They are all part of the problem. We will put all these persons aside and realign policies that will make Ghanaians benefit from the resources of the state.
Before we go for a break, yeah. So
that
who
is
are your
what I
favorites? Who are your favorites? Do you have favorites?
Well, my favorite is NDC.
Yes, I mean those competing.
Oh no, and I'm saying my favorite are NDC. You know, I'm playing a critical role in this Congress. I'm a member of the election committee. We are 7, and so because of that, I cannot express.
Don't have it, but you have a favorite in your heart. Huh?
Yeah, I have favorites in my heart.
You're still watching The Hard Truth. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Hard Truth. I still have with me here Member of Parliament for Buim constituency, Honorable Kofi.
I said
Adams. I hear you. So, Kofi, many are especially interested in who wins the chairmanship race. We have the General Secretary, Siedun Ketia, hoping to unseat the incumbent Akosua Konadu. First of all, are you impressed with the performance of Mr. Akosua Konadu during his tenure as the chairman? And what did you like and what did you not like?
Well, let me say that there are 4 persons contesting for the chairmanship. We go into an election as a political party with the hope of winning power in order to push your policies. Sometimes you may fail to achieve that objective, but you review your performance and you can say, oh, well, we've done well, though we did not win the elections. It's like the World Cup is ongoing. A number of teams have returned home. Some returned and have been celebrated. Others returned and have not been celebrated. They were celebrated because even though they have lost, their nationals feels like they held the flag high. So what was our situation after 2016 elections? We had 106 seats. NPP had 169 seats in parliament. We got about a little close to 5 million votes in 2016. By 2020, our number of seats in parliament have jumped from 106 to 137. Indeed, but for some miscalculated strategy, maybe the seats would have been more, because we still believe that some seats, some kind of undermining went on for us to lose those seats. We still think so. So in terms of looking at our performance in that election, though we didn't win, you will say the executive collectively worked very hard to give us that improvement in the elections. And this happened under the chairmanship of Chairman Akosua Konadu. So on that score, you would be scoring him a good point that he led his party executives and collectively they achieved this. But
that even results in a hang parliament.
That credit will not go to him alone. It will go to all the executives.
So I'm asking about him specifically. So these are the things you liked about him. So what don't you like? What didn't you like?
So I feel like to achieve that will mean that you have to offer some leadership together with the flag bearer. And so if that has happened, you cannot celebrate the number of seats we have and think that he should not also get a credit a credit of it.
But he says the same thing. He says, he's been retained as chairman because, under his tenure, the party has managed to reduce the 1 million votes deficit suffered in 2016 election, as well as reclaiming lost parliamentary seat, which has resulted in a hung parliament. Does he have a point? Does he have a strong point?
Well, it's a good point he's raising. But there were some also seats that we were holding, which we lost. So maybe those who lost those seats may also be questioning, so why were we holding these seats also and we lost? But it's a strong point that he's raising, that we have increased our performance. Even though we lost some seats, like Damango seat, we lost, Yagaba, Kubori, we lost Hohwe, we lost a few seats here and there. But in totality, we increased our seats. So it's a good point he's raising, and he must benefit from that. Other executives, including the General Secretary, may also say, well, I was also General Secretary. I contributed to that success, and so vote for me also. And
to do more for you. But he is obviously expected to face a stiff competition for the sake of time.
There were some specific things that he did also, for which goes to his credit. Engaging some old cadres and bringing some elderly persons on board, and those kind of visitations, for me, I think was an excellent thing that he did. And it could go for him in that area. Whether he will win or not, 17th December is what will tell.
So I'm saying that he's expected to face stiff competition from Asiedu Nketia. Are you aware, among those who believe that it's a historic mistake for Mr. Asiedu Nketia to leave the General Secretary's role?
Well, he says he's been there for 17 years, and our constitution nationally arranged for persons to even be in office, apart from maybe parliamentary situation, presidency, 2 terms. So if he's been General Secretary for 17 years, it feels like he wants to also try another position. Nothing stops him from doing so. So he has indicated clearly, I am tired as a General Secretary. So I don't want to play that role again. So 2 choices, either to exit or go higher. He chose to jump 2 steps, jump vice chairmanship, and then has gone for
the chairmanship. But he has clouds. The General Secretary, Asiedu Nketia, has a lot of clouds in the party and has built a solid support base during the long tenure as GS for the party. Do you think he has managed, a message that resonates with the delegates? And what do you make of his chances of unseating chairman?
Well, because I'm not contesting the elections and because I've not engaged the 276 constituencies that we have approved as a party and working with, because we recognize SAR as a constituency, it's difficult for me to tell the strength of the chairmanship candidates, Ampofo, Dr. Ampofo, Comrade Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and even the 2 others. Don't forget, Yamashite is also in the race, and there's another young man from Ashanti, Kumasi, who is also in the race, not forgetting about them. So it's so difficult to tell. Of course, he has been General Secretary. We have seen victories, we have seen losses. We suffered a loss in 2016 and 2020 as General Secretary. We won in 2008 and 2012 as General Secretary. Honorable Samuel Fusuambefo will also say we won in 2020 with him as national organizer. We won in 2012 with him as a local government.
So we should just wait for 17. We should just wait for 17.
So let's wait for 17.
Right. You are on record to have said, I think somewhere in 2017 on Ekosi, saying that you have an excellent working relationship with the current General Secretary, Asiedu Nketia. Has that changed?
No, it hasn't changed at all. It hasn't changed at all. You see, by my nature, I'm able to work with everybody. I develop a leadership system that allows me to work with everybody. I study the people I work with and know how to deal with each and every one of them and have a lasting relationship. Maybe initially there could be suspicion there, and that person may think that, this person is too tough for my liking, the people that he relates with, they will do things. But subsequently, you will come to realize that I'm the sweetest person to work with in the party
So
system.
let's
That
say,
is why, for
let's say,
example, I was able to work with President Rawlings for such a long time.
I see. Let's say that he wins, Asiedun Ketia. Let's say he wins. What kind of chairman will he make if he wins?
Well, he's already in the system. Like you rightly said, he's quite popular. He's made a name for himself. Every young person today, if you mention general, just mention general, people think that
It's him.
it's him. Even though that used to be maybe a title or an English word for that was associated with some other persons. Today, he has captured it. Immediately you say general, people think that it's him. So he's established a name for himself. He has a niche that I believe he will draw that niche to the topmost leadership of the party as chairman.
Right. So between Akosua Konadu and Asiedun Ketia, who will make a better chairman?
Well, it's so difficult to answer this question or to tell. I think both have established themselves very well. I have seen Honorable Samuel Akosua as national organizer from opposition into government. He did excellently well. I have seen him as a vice chairman. He worked as director of elections when I was national organizer. So I've seen him. We worked together very well. I've seen him as a chairman when I was a candidate contesting for elections. I think he's done very well. I have seen Comrade Johnson Asiedun Ketia as general secretary in all this period. He was my general secretary when I was deputy national youth organizer. He was my general secretary when I was deputy general secretary. He was my general secretary when I was national organizer. He was the chairman of the national campaign team when I was campaign coordinator. And he was my general secretary.
So they'll both be
when I
excellent
was
chairmen.
candidate. So I believe that they all do well for the party.
I
But
see.
one thing is that party successes doesn't rest just on the chairman. It rests on the foundation structure that we lay, the branches. So for me, of all the positions I've held in the party, the one I celebrate the most is the branch chairmanship.
I see. But another intense contest would be the general secretary position. The winner will succeed Asiedun Ketia and is expected to fill that big shoe. So what quality should a person possess if you want to be the GS of a party?
You see, per my analysis, one thing we have to build in that office is a general secretary, not necessarily an operational person, but someone who can make sure that certain administrative structure is put in place right from the top to the bottom and bottom to the top. And so we would have to get someone who will be so meticulous.
So let's see. Mr. Freya Ankra, Fifi Kwete, and Dr. Peter Otukono contesting. So which of these would be best to manage the party?
I'm a member of the election committee, so it's difficult for me to pick on any one of them.
I
because
see.
That would mean that I have a favorite in there. But I'm looking at the general qualities, and leaving it out there for the people to determine.
But still with your favorite in your heart.
I'll meet them in private, I'll tell them. When I use this, your big platform, it will be like endorsing one person against the other. I don't want the next headline to be that Kofi Adams endorsed so and so against the other person.
But interestingly, no persons filed to contest the position of the communications officer apart from the incumbent Sami Jemfi.
I think somebody picked forms, but his forms, when he went through vetting, he could not qualify to become a candidate.
Why?
Well, that was why you have a vetting committee in place. The report was not public, but I knew that someone picked form. He went for vetting, and the vetting committee disqualified him. I think there was an appeal. The appeals committee heard it and also upheld the decision of the vetting committee. So that shut the door for him. He didn't go to court to challenge those decisions, and that is why the National Communication Officer is the only position that for the 2022 NDC National Congress will be going unopposed.
After the election is done and the losers and winners are determined, what should be the focus of the party moving forward?
Well, I think immediately a major orientation and reorientation must happen at all levels. From the branches, people must understand why they hold positions that they hold. And leadership at the top, from national through region, must give indication. The kind of orientation is not where you assemble people and then you go and sing party songs and then go away. It should be structured in a way that they will live there very well informed, very well motivated. They understand the rules. You see, new persons have come in, old persons were re-elected. They must find a way of relating with each other. I always tell people these stories when I try to orient party officers that even when couples who have been in marriages before want to marry again, they still go through counseling. Because maybe the man is the one that is so experienced and has lost a wife and is remarrying a new woman. If they don't counsel the two of them, you may be judging your new wife as if she was your old wife, who should know you better. But that should not be the case. The new one will be coming with her own energy and understanding of things different from how the old one was treating you. You, the man, must have that understanding. So you cannot start with conflict. The same way, you, the young one coming in also, must know that the old one have had some experience, and I must respect those experiences and see how we can relate for the goodness of the family. The same thing happens in
So orient and
system.
educate each other.
We need to
move forward.
Now, to be able to move forward and achieve the objective we set for ourselves.
Right. So the party again will be having its presidential primaries next year.
Sure.
You are quite optimistic that it is a done deal for former President Mahama to be the candidate.
There's no doubt about that. Unless he decides that he isn't contesting.
Yeah.
Then
even went ahead further to say he's going to win the 2024 election.
Sure.
What does this confidence, or where does this confidence come from?
Akosua, if you look at what is happening in the country today, would you trust your sick mother to the hand of anyone without experience? Your mother is sick, has gone to the primary healthcare facility. Situation is getting worse. It keeps getting worse. And then you decide to take the person to maybe a tertiary facility. When you get there, would you go and choose a doctor who is a houseman, or you would rather get a consultant in that field to deal with the situation?
I'm listening.
Your mama is an experienced person already. And no Ghanaian will look at John Mahama, maybe Alan Kojo Chiremanten, Kennedy Ajepong, Kwabena Ajepong, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and choose any one of them and leave President Mahama, unless you are not choosing development, unless you are not choosing well-being. But if you are going to be voting for development, if you are going to be voting for
anything
your
can
well-being,
happen. Anything can happen. He can lose. So what happens? What happens if he loses? What happens if he loses?
What? Because I don't think that should happen. I know Ghanaians are very rational beings. So I don't think that Ghanaians will make the mistake that we made in 2016 again. I don't think so.
So President Mahama will win.
He will win.
Final message to Ghanaians. What do you have to tell your Ghanaians?
Well, I want to wish Ghanaians well. I want them to prepare for even more tough times. We must be moderate in whatever we do. We shouldn't say that because government is refusing to be moderate, so we will also refuse in our individual homes not to manage things. Let's manage, hoping that 2024 will come and we will vote right, and the NDC will take charge of affairs of this country and will do what is right for them. That is why we say that we are rallying for victory 2024, Ghana's hope. That is the theme for our Congress in 2022. Rallying for victory 2024, Ghana's hope. We are the hope for what you desire. So join us. Let's rally together. Rallying for victory 2024.
That's your mantra
Ghana's
now.
Hope.
I see, Kofi. I'm grateful.
Rally.
Thank you so much for your time. Honorable Kofi Idi Adams has been my guest this evening. Now, do you trust the minority to look out for your interests as a Ghanaian? Can they block the increase in the VAT rate, or will we see a replay of what happened with the passage of the e-levy? Also, who will be the winners in the NDC executive elections? Share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms on your screen. Catch a repeat of the program on Saturday at 2 p.m. I'm so grateful to you, Karen Hapok, for my beautiful costume and glam premium GH4, my makeup. You've been watching The Hard Truth. My name is Nana Akosua Konadu. Have a good evening.